Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Home and Creativity with Monique. Today I am sharing with you a candied cinnamon pecans recipe, and these are one of my favorite treats that I like to make and eat. If you are a person that loves candied nuts, this is a great recipe to try, and it's very simple. I will have the ingredients and measurements down in the description below. Alright, so I'm just showing you that it is pretty easy. Your dry ingredients, your cinnamon, nutmeg, sugar, and pecans, you're just going to place that into a large skillet. And make sure you mix the pecans and sugar together. My stove is not on at the moment. I will turn my stove on as soon as I add the water. So when you add the water, then you can turn your stove on and mix everything until it is combined. And I have my stove on high heat for the first 5 minutes. So as soon as this mixture starts to boil, then you will reduce the heat to medium-high heat, and you will continue to cook this on medium-high heat for the duration of this recipe. Alright, so I'm adding in my vanilla extract. Alright, so it has been about 5 minutes, and as you can see, it is boiling, but it is still very liquidy. So you're going to keep stirring the pecan mixture until the sugar and water mixture, it will make a syrup. Okay, so while that is cooking on the stove, you will need a parchment lined cookie sheet. When these are done, you will put these on a parchment lined cookie sheet. Alright, so as you can see here, this is about 10 minutes in, and you can see that the mixture is starting to get thickened like a syrup. So at this point, you will continue to stir this on medium-high heat. And please keep stirring this because you don't want your sugar to burn. And if your sugar burns, then you pretty much destroy the whole recipe. Alright, so this is about 3 minutes after, I would say a total of 13 minutes. And as you can see, the syrup is thickening, and you want to keep stirring this at this point because at this point you just want the syrup to completely dissolve, and what will happen is the syrup will crystallize on the pecans. So you will keep stirring this until pretty much the mixture gets dry and you don't see any wetness or syrup in here. So you're just going to keep stirring and stirring until there is no more wetness. And this is a very crucial part. You have to keep stirring this and keep stirring this until there is no more syrup or wetness in the pecans. And you will start to see that the sugar is crystallizing on the pecans. And that's when you will know that it's getting close for the time that it is about done. So you're just going to keep doing this until there is no more moisture, until it is completely dry and there is no syrup. Okay, so as you can see, you're starting to see that the pecans are turning a white powdery looking color, and that's the sugar that's crystallizing on top of the pecan. So you're going to keep doing this, as I mentioned, until there is no more moisture or syrup that you can see. Alright, so about after 15 to 20 minutes, then you have your candied cinnamon pecans. You will pour them on your lined parchment paper cookie sheet to cool. And there you have it. Okay, so the next treat recipe I want to attempt to make is the chocolate cocoa bombs. I have never made these before. I am totally green, but I did give it a shot. Okay, so you will need some chocolate chips, and that's some cocoa powder with the mini marshmallows. And I have 4 bombs, hot chocolate cocoa bomb molds that I purchased off of Amazon. I will link all the measurements and ingredients below. So as you can see here, I am melting my chocolate over a hot water bath, which is I have a pot of hot water on the stove that is hot, and I place my milk chocolate chips over it to have it to melt, and I added in a tablespoon of coconut oil. And the coconut oil helps, in my opinion, it helps to keep the chocolate melted and not clump up. Alright, so you're just going to continue to melt the chocolate. You can melt the chocolate whichever method you choose. You can melt chocolate in the microwave, but I prefer to melt mine over the stove over a hot water bath. Alright, so after some time, my chocolate has melted. And now I'm going to take a dollop, maybe like 1 tablespoon dollops of chocolate inside each mold. And I'm taking the back of my spoon, and I'm going to make sure that each mold will be covered completely in chocolate. Make sure you do not have any spots that are lacking chocolate, or the molds won't come out right. And if you need to add more chocolate, if you feel like that is too thin, you can add a little bit more chocolate to spread around in these molds. You don't want this to be too thick or too thin, but just make sure that that everything is coated properly. All finished, so I'm going to take this and place it in my freezer to harden. Okay, so this has been about maybe 5 minutes in my freezer. I just went on ahead and I did 2 of them, so now they are ready for me to remove out of the mold. And I recommend to get the silicone mold because they are, very easy to work with, and the chocolate comes right out the mold without breaking. And I just have some parchment paper on my countertop that I am placing the chocolate molds on the parchment paper. And you have to kind of work with this pretty hard. And I'm not gonna lie, this was pretty challenging. I messed up a lot of times on this, even though I didn't show it. But I messed up on this a lot of times. And you have to work with this while it's cold. If not, the molds can get flimsy and start to melt. And when that happens, it's not going to mend together. So if that happens to you, don't get discouraged or frustrated. Those chocolate molds that didn't come out right, I poured the hot cocoa out of them, and I placed those chocolate shells back into the melted chocolate to melt, so I didn't waste any ingredients. Alright, so as you can see here, I am placing the hot cocoa powder inside of one side of the chocolate shells. And you may also need a hot pot, like just warm up a pot on the stove, because you're going to, just in a circular motion, melt the chocolate for the other shell so that it can mend on top of the hot cocoa powder filled one. And you're just gonna take your hands and just kind of mend it up together around the edges. Now this is not the cutest thing and like I mentioned before, I never did these before. This is like actually my first time making them, but that's pretty much it. You're just gonna mend them together, mend the chocolate together. Right after I did that, I placed it, the made cocoa bomb, into my freezer to harden. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Now, if you would like to, you can also add sprinkles or decorations to it. And I'm just showing that I've packed up some cocoa bombs with extra hot cocoa powder at the bottom, because these cocoa bombs, depending on the size you have, these are pretty small. It wouldn't be enough, cocoa to add flavor to your drink. Okay, and I'm also showing me packing up in treat bags the candied pecans, because I will be giving all of these away for Christmas. Okay, so this is my finished look for my cocoa bombs and the candied pecans. And this is not it. I'm also going to be making more treats to give out for Christmas. So this is only just half of it. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully this gave you some ideas of some treats to give away. I thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for more, and happy holidays. Have a great day.